What just happened this morning changed everything for the chosen ones. My beloved child, something shifted this morning in a way most people will never notice, and that alone tells me why you are here right now. Before the noise of the day fully woke up the world, before distractions rushed in to claim attention, there was a quiet moment where patterns rearranged themselves. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But precisely. You may have felt it as a strange stillness, or a subtle tension in the air, or even a sudden clarity that didn't make sense yet. That wasn't random. That was alignment. The kind that only happens when long periods of pressure finally reach their breaking point, not to destroy you, but to reposition you. While others moved through their morning on autopilot, something in you became alert. Your awareness sharpened. Your instincts leaned forward. This is how real change announces itself to chosen ones, not with fireworks, but with an inner knowing that refuses to be ignored. Don't skip this moment, because what unfolded wasn't just about today. It was the closing of an old chapter that quietly expired overnight. There are moments in life where nothing seems different on the surface, yet everything underneath has already changed. This morning was one of those moments. Forces you can't see, but can feel. Finally synchronized after a long period of delay. The delays were not punishments. They were preparation. You were being slowed down while others rushed ahead for things they weren't ready to carry. You were being tested in silence while others were praised too early. And this morning marked the end of that phase. Something unseen stepped aside. Something blocking momentum dissolved. That's why certain thoughts suddenly made sense. That's why decisions you've been avoiding no longer feel heavy. The fog didn't lift by accident. It lifted because you reached the exact level of awareness required to move forward without losing yourself. Stay till the end of this message, because this shift explains why people will soon react differently to you without knowing why. Understand this carefully, not everyone experiences mornings like this. Most wake up repeating yesterday. Chosen ones wake up to subtle upgrades. You may notice small signals today. Unexpected clarity, unusual confidence, or a calm certainty that you don't need to prove anything anymore. That is power settling into place. The world responds differently to those who stop chasing validation and start operating from alignment. And this morning, you crossed that line. You are no longer seeking permission internally. You are no longer negotiating with doubt the same way. Something huge is waiting for you on the other side of this realization, but only if you move with awareness instead of urgency. What just happened wasn't meant to be announced. It was meant to be recognized. And the fact that you're listening now confirms one thing beyond doubt: you were meant to notice it. The moment you realize this wasn't coincidence, your perspective begins to shift in real time. What happened this morning wasn't meant to shock the world, it was meant to recalibrate you. You've been carrying a quiet awareness that something was off, that timing felt delayed, that doors almost opened and then mysteriously stayed shut. That wasn't failure. That was filtration. This morning marked the instant when resistance stopped testing you and started respecting you. The internal noise softened. The urgency dissolved. And in that calm space, a different kind of strength took over. People around you may not say anything yet, but they will feel it. Your presence will land differently. Your words will carry weight without effort. This is the stage where chosen ones stop forcing outcomes and start attracting alignment. Don't skip this understanding, because missing it would mean misunderstanding everything that comes next. Here's what makes this shift rare: most people need external proof before they change internally. Chosen ones change internally first, and reality follows later. That's why today may feel deceptively normal while everything underneath is being rewritten. You are no longer moving from desperation or hope, you're moving from certainty. And certainty doesn't rush. It observes. It selects. It waits without anxiety. That's why certain options will suddenly feel beneath you, and certain distractions will lose their grip. You're not becoming cold, you're becoming precise. Stay till the end of this message, because once you understand this, you'll stop doubting why things are about to accelerate without warning. If this message resonates even slightly, take a second to like, share, or subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but because you're signaling readiness to receive what's next. Now listen closely, because this is where everything connects. When alignment locks in, the world responds in patterns, not miracles. Conversations shift. Opportunities surface casually. People who once overlooked you start watching quietly. None of it will look dramatic, but all of it will be decisive. This is the phase where silence becomes your advantage and patience becomes your amplifier. Something huge is waiting for you, not at the end of struggle, but at the end of recognition. You don't need to announce your transformation. You just need to move in sync with it. And the fact that you're still here, still listening, tells me one thing with absolute clarity. You felt the shift too. What most people never realize is that after a shift like this, reality doesn't respond loudly, it responds accurately. From this point forward, things will start lining up in ways that feel almost too precise to be accidental. You may notice people hesitating before they speak to you, or situations adjusting without you having to push. That's not imagination. That's the effect of internal alignment projecting outward. When your inner state stabilizes, the external world recalibrates to meet it. This is why confusion begins to fall away and certainty quietly takes its place. You stop chasing clarity because clarity starts following you. Don't skip this realization, because once you see it, you can never unsee it, and it changes how you move forever. There's also something else happening right now that few are prepared for. The moment you stop needing validation, you become unpredictable to systems built on approval and permission. Your energy no longer leaks into explaining yourself. Your focus sharpens. Your boundaries solidify without confrontation. That's why some connections will feel strained and some paths will naturally close. It's not loss, it's alignment enforcing itself. Chosen ones don't lose people, they outgrow frequencies. Stay till the end of this message, because understanding this will save you years of unnecessary attachment and self-doubt. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be effective in your own lane. Here's the part that turns everything upside down: once this phase begins, momentum becomes selective. Not everything speeds up, only what's meant for you. Distractions slow down. Noise fades. And what remains feels inevitable. That's when intuition becomes louder than fear and action becomes calmer than hesitation. Something huge is waiting for you in this space, not as a reward, but as a response to who you've become. If you're still listening, it means you're already operating at a level where these messages land. And that alone confirms it wasn't an accident that you noticed what happened this morning. Right now, you're standing at a point most people never reach, and that's why this moment feels heavy with meaning. After a shift like the one you experienced, life doesn't ask you questions anymore, it starts giving you confirmations. Small ones at first. A sentence you hear that hits too close. A delay that suddenly protects you. A choice that feels obvious when it used to feel impossible. This is not luck warming up. This is precision activating. You're being guided away from noise and toward impact, even when it doesn't look impressive on the surface. Don't skip this awareness, because once you understand what's happening here, you'll stop mistaking calm for stagnation. Calm is what appears right before momentum locks in. There's a reason this phase feels quieter than expected. Power doesn't rush in announcing itself, it settles in and waits for you to notice. This is where chosen ones either panic and look for old chaos, or they stay grounded and let reality reorganize around them. You are no longer meant to chase everything that moves. You are meant to recognize what stays. And that recognition changes how people treat you, how opportunities approach you, and how outcomes form without struggle. Stay till the end of this message, because this understanding separates those who almost transform from those who actually do. If this is resonating with you, take a moment to like, share, or subscribe, not out of habit, but as a signal that you're aligned with what's unfolding. Now here's what most won't tell you: after this point, things won't test you the same way anymore. They will reveal you. Situations will expose how much you trust yourself. People will sense your certainty before you speak. And what's meant for you will arrive without resistance, while what isn't will fall away without drama. Something huge is waiting for you, not at the end of effort, but at the edge of recognition. And the fact that you're still here, listening carefully, means you're already closer than you think to seeing why this morning changed everything. There comes a point where clarity becomes so sharp that it feels almost uncomfortable, and this is that point for you. After everything that has quietly rearranged itself, you may notice that you no longer feel the need to rush explanations or chase reassurance. That's because something internal has locked into place. You are no longer asking, "Is this right for me?" You are sensing, this either aligns, or it doesn't. And that distinction changes everything. When you stop forcing certainty and allow it to emerge naturally, your decisions start carrying a different kind of authority. People feel it even if they can't name it. Situations respond faster. Outcomes require less effort. This isn't confidence built on noise, it's confidence born from alignment. Don't skip this realization, because once this settles in, you stop leaking energy into things that were never meant to last. What follows this phase is not chaos, it's refinement. Life begins trimming what no longer matches your frequency, not to punish you, but to protect your momentum. You may feel less interested in conversations that once pulled you in, less attached to approval that once mattered, less tempted by shortcuts that once looked appealing. That's not isolation. That's elevation. Chosen ones don't withdraw from the world, they simply stop entertaining what slows them down. Stay till the end of this message, because understanding this will prevent you from misreading peace as boredom. Peace is the signal that you're finally moving in the right direction without resistance. And here's the truth that changes how you see what's coming next: when alignment stabilizes, progress becomes inevitable. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Inevitable. The right moments begin finding you without force. The right people cross paths with you naturally. And the right opportunities appear when you're calm enough to recognize them. Something huge is waiting for you. Not as a surprise, but as a response to who you've quietly become. You don't need to announce this shift. You just need to keep moving with awareness. And if you're still listening right now, it's because on some level, you already know, this phase was never meant to be temporary. There is a subtle difference between moving forward and being carried forward, and this is where you are now. After everything that has settled into place, you may notice that effort feels lighter, not because life became easy, but because resistance stopped fighting you. You are no longer swimming against the current of who you are becoming. That's why actions feel cleaner, thoughts feel quieter, and choices feel less dramatic. This is what happens when alignment matures. You stop proving. You stop rushing. You start arriving. Don't skip this understanding, because recognizing this shift is what allows it to work in your favor instead of confusing you. As this phase continues, you'll notice that timing starts responding to you. Things show up when you're ready instead of when you're desperate. Conversations happen at the exact moment they're needed. Delays protect you more than they frustrate you. That's not coincidence, that's rhythm. You're learning to move in sync instead of in struggle. And once that rhythm locks in, life stops testing your patience and starts rewarding your awareness. Stay till the end of this message, because many people misinterpret this stage and accidentally sabotage it by trying to rush what's already unfolding perfectly. Here's the final truth to hold on to right now: when you reach this level of alignment, your presence alone becomes enough. You don't need to convince. You don't need to chase. What's meant for you recognizes you immediately. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a future promise, but as a natural next step. And the fact that you're still here, still listening, tells me you're ready to walk into it without fear, without noise, and without needing permission. At this stage, something unusual begins to happen: you start trusting the silence more than the noise. The urge to constantly react fades, and in its place comes a steady awareness that you don't need to move just because the world is moving. That's not hesitation. That's mastery. When chosen ones reach this point, they stop confusing urgency with importance. You may notice that you're observing more, speaking less, and yet influencing more than before. This is the calm authority that only develops after deep internal alignment. Don't skip this insight, because understanding it protects you from being pulled back into patterns that no longer fit who you are becoming. As days move forward, reality will begin reflecting this shift in subtle but undeniable ways. People may start seeking your opinion without you offering it. Situations may resolve themselves before becoming problems. And decisions that once drained you will now feel simple, almost obvious. That's because your inner compass has stabilized. You are no longer torn between options, you are guided by alignment. Stay till the end of this message, because recognizing this stage will help you avoid mistaking strength for stillness. Stillness is where precision is formed. Here's what seals this phase completely: once you stop chasing outcomes, outcomes start responding to you. Momentum becomes selective, focused only on what serves your growth. Distractions lose their pull. Noise loses its power. Something huge is waiting for you beyond this awareness. Not as a dramatic event, but as a quiet arrival into the life you've been preparing for without even realizing it. And if you're still listening now, it's because you're already stepping into that space with clarity and control. There's a moment when you realize you're no longer asking life for signs, life starts responding to you instead. That moment has already begun. You may feel less reactive, less pulled by opinions, and more anchored in your own sense of direction. This isn't detachment. It's clarity. When chosen ones reach this level, they stop borrowing confidence from the outside world and start generating it internally. That's why your energy feels steadier now. You don't need constant reassurance. You don't need to explain your path. Don't skip this awareness, because it marks the point where your focus becomes unshakable. What follows is a phase where progress feels almost silent. No dramatic announcements. No sudden rush. Just steady forward movement that compounds over time. You may notice that things you once feared losing no longer hold power over you. That's because alignment has shifted your priorities. You're no longer motivated by what you might miss, you're guided by what truly matters. Stay till the end of this message, because understanding this will prevent you from confusing quiet growth with stagnation. Quiet growth is often the most unstoppable kind. And here's the truth that ties it all together. When inner certainty replaces external pressure, life begins opening doors without resistance. The right moments feel natural. The right choices feel calm. And the right outcomes arrive without force. Something huge is waiting for you beyond this stage, not as a reward for struggle, but as a response to the person you become through awareness and restraint. And if you're still here, still listening, it's because you're already moving closer to that reality with intention and control. There is a quiet confidence that appears when you finally realize you don't need to rush toward your future, it's already moving toward you. At this stage, your mind becomes clearer, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust your direction. You may notice that doubts still show up, but they no longer control your actions. That's growth you can feel. This is where chosen ones stop reacting to fear and start responding to insight. Don't skip this realization, because it explains why your decisions are starting to feel lighter even when the stakes are higher. As this alignment deepens, you'll see a strange pattern emerge: the right things start requiring less effort, while the wrong things feel harder to force. That's not resistance, that's guidance. Life is nudging you without words, steering you away from distractions and toward purpose. Conversations shift. Priorities refine themselves. And the need to explain your journey fades away. Stay till the end of this message, because recognizing this pattern keeps you from wasting energy on paths that were never meant to open for you. Here's the final shift happening now: once you trust your inner direction, momentum becomes natural instead of exhausting. You move with intention instead of urgency. And what's meant for you meets you halfway. Something huge is waiting for you. Not as a distant promise, but as a continuation of the path you're already walking. And the fact that you're still listening tells me one thing clearly: you're no longer searching for change. You're allowing it to unfold. There is a point where awareness becomes so steady that nothing feels rushed anymore, and this is where you are now. You're beginning to notice that even when uncertainty appears, it doesn't shake you the way it used to. That's because you're no longer relying on hope alone. You're grounded in understanding. When chosen ones reach this level, they stop overthinking every move and start trusting the rhythm that's guiding them. Don't skip this realization, because it explains why calm is starting to replace anxiety even when outcomes aren't fully visible yet. As this stage settles in, you'll realize something powerful: not everything needs your reaction. Situations resolve themselves when you give them space. People reveal their intentions without you asking. And opportunities arrive when you're ready to recognize them. This is what happens when inner clarity leads instead of fear. Stay till the end of this message, because understanding this prevents you from falling back into old habits of forcing progress. Progress that's aligned doesn't need pressure, it needs patience. Here's what completes this phase: once you move from trust instead of tension, life responds with precision. The right paths feel obvious. The wrong ones fade quietly. And what's meant for you begins to feel inevitable. Something huge is waiting for you just beyond this awareness, not as a sudden reward, but as a natural next step you're already prepared to take. And if you're still listening now, it's because you're already walking forward with clarity instead of doubt.